He sat on the perimeter, and we said, wait, why aren't you sitting? He said, the chairs are too nice. It's a leather chair, but he didn't feel he was worthy to sit in the leather chair. And so where did we put him? Head of the table.
A lot of families that I know, they want to encourage philanthropy, but it's not the same as consistently giving of your time.
That's right.
What are some good ways to get involved in a way that's really meaningful and consistent?
I love the question, David, and it really speaks to transactional versus transformational. The tangible benefits, the social emotional wellness, that for our kids to know that, little sister, you belong at head of the table. You can run this company. It is truly a blessing to give. It is truly not just to feel good, but you see the impact.
What's the best advice you can give to mentors?
I mean, obviously, when I think about, just from a spiritual standpoint, it is truly a blessing to give. It is truly not just to feel good, but you see the impact. So the best advice I can give to a mentor is you're going to have that moment of magic by just being yourself and giving of your time.
The information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, or professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organization or company. The host and guests may maintain positions in any securities discussed on the podcast. Always consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to episode 4 of the On Pointe podcast. Carlos, we did 3 episodes already.
You did 3, I did 2.
Right. Where does the time go? Today's was a great conversation. We were joined by Gale Nelson, president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami, an incredibly important organization that serves over 3,000 youth in the city of Miami with mentorship and opportunities for the young people within our community.
It was a fabulous conversation. I think you all will love Gale. And we really learned about the power of consistency and friendship in transforming the lives of youths in this community.
Absolutely. And also the importance of philanthropy in helping families to create a legacy of shared vision within their own families and enabling multiple generations of families to volunteer and give back to their communities. So it was a really interesting discussion. We hope you enjoy our conversation with Gale Nelson of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami. Welcome, Gale Nelson, to the On Pointe podcast.
It is such a pleasure being here.
So this is a full circle moment because I was actually a guest on your show a couple of years back. And we spent a lot of time talking about mentorship, which was a great conversation and obviously a topic that's important to you, important to me. Today's conversation is going to be a variation on that theme, but a little bit different because I think really we wanted to talk about legacy and in the context of philanthropy, in the context of families. So much of what we see families doing that brings them together involves philanthropy and values and contributions to the community. And so I think in your seat as CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami, seeing that firsthand, right, the experience of not only one generation of families getting involved with the organization, but in many cases, people involving their children, adult children, grandchildren, so on. Would love to dive into that. But before I even do that, Gale, I think everyone needs to learn a little bit more about you and how you came to be in your role at Big Brothers Big Sisters and why the message or the mission really resonated with you.
So again, thanks for allowing me to be here. When I think about family, that's what brought me to Miami. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old. Didn't grow up with my dad. And so I wanted to meet my dad so badly. And so I met him in San Francisco International Airport when I was 18 years old. He was a contractor. Hurricane Andrew hit August 24th, 1992. And I flew down here to reunite with my dad. And he came down here to help rebuild. So it was rebuilding family as well as rebuilding literally South Florida. And I started working, and it was serendipitous, if you will, because the first place my dad took me, and keep in mind, I didn't grow up with him, was a campus down in South Dade, a 45-acre campus. And they were stockpiling lumber, and volunteers came from all over the country. The Interfaith Coalition for the Andrew Recovery Effort, I Care. And that's where I got my first job. I was there with my dad to help rebuild, but in 1993, they hired me to run this campus that had a lot of teenage boys who had challenges with delinquency, and some were arrested, some were just sent there to really just help rehabilitate. Long story short, I'm there 12 years. Went from teacher counselor to director of education to vice president and COO. But the challenge for me was the kids came in as a result of delinquency, and I wanted to prevent that through mentorship. Insert Big Brothers, Big Sisters Miami. From 2006 to present day, been with the organization 19 years. So it's really family that brought me here and family that keeps me here.
Gale, you and I have the pleasure of also sitting on the Orange Bowl committee, which is also another great organization doing community work here in South Florida. And obviously very much tied to the Orange Bowl football game. And I bring this to football because your name, Gale, you're named after a famous football player, it's had a lot of meaning in your life. So can you tell us a little bit about that? I always love sort of how you tie that all into who you are and how you got here.
Well, I don't mind talking about a little football. I mean, philanthropy, football. I mean, you're right in my wheelhouse today, guys. But I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. Mom named me Curtis Anthony at birth. And my dad gets there, and he was a huge Chicago Bears fan. And he's like, no, that's a Super Bowl champion right there. No way. Curtis Anthony, which is now my cousin's name. And I am Gale Sayers Nelson, my full government name. And Papa Bear, when I heard that, George Halas, the late owner of the Chicago Bears. So my dad was just enamored with the Bears. But so now I remember getting on the Orange Bowl committee. It was like running for a Senate seat. But when I had to do my speech and go through all of that, I used the story of Gale Sayers. And Gale Sayers is famously quoted saying, as a running back, give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need to score. And so that's what I mentioned to the Orange Bowl committee. Give Gale Sayers Nelson 18 inches a day. Like, give me an opportunity. We're going to do some great things for kids and families in Miami. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got in on your first vote, which is hard to do.
That is another very humbling moment.
I think that resonated well with the committee.
And for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, can you tell us a little bit of Big Brothers, Big Sisters and your mission? And I'm fortunate to now have recently joined the board and becoming more involved, which is great. It's an organization that really resonates with me and the things that I care about and value, but would love to hear in your words the mission of the organization.
And watch this. When you think about my story, and Big Brothers Big Sisters was founded by a court clerk in 1904 in New York City. So we celebrated 120 years. And he saw kids going to the juvenile justice system, Ernest Coulter, and decided we got to do something about that. But even before Ernest Coulter founded the organization, it was Irvin Westheimer from Ohio, my home state, who was a businessman who saw a kid rummaging through the garbage can outside his office. And then he began to mentor that young boy. So through the lens so Big Brothers Big Sisters is all about friendship. At our core, our mission is to ignite the power and promise of youth through one-to-one mentoring relationships. One person, Irvin Westheimer, who took the time with that boy. Ernest Coulter, one person who saw kids going to the juvenile justice system that said, if we inserted that friend, that trusted friend in counsel, life could be different for these kids. And so we've been serving Miami-Dade County since 1958. We will celebrate 70 years in 2028. And so having you on the board, we're excited about that, David. And as we think about what we're doing here in Miami, we want to make sure that every single sector can engage with us through the lens of mentorship, because all that we do, everything we do, is free for the kids and families. So philanthropy is huge and to help us succeed in achieving our mission.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely want to explore this idea of legacy and family and philanthropy. So, in our seat, Carlos and I advising families around the country, we're often asked by the families that we work with, what's the best way to engage our family as a whole in learning about financial management, the values of our family, the things that we care about in sort of a unified manner. And we always say that one of the best ways to do that is actually through philanthropy or charitable endeavors, because number one, it can help to bring everybody together in understanding what really matters to the family, core values and philosophy. And then from a financial perspective, it also tends to bring families together in aligning on how they manage the financial resources of the family and where dollars get allocated and all of those elements. So I'm just curious, how have you seen that within Big Brothers, Big Sisters? Have you seen families that are involved as donors utilizing their participation as an opportunity to educate and have those conversations within their family about values and mission?
It is no question. At the heart of everything we do at Big Brothers Big Sisters, it is family. It's friendship. The bigs and littles become family, with a mission of igniting the power and promise of youth. But also our vision is all youth can achieve success in life. And philanthropy, when you think about just that word, the love of man, just when kids and grandkids can become involved. I think of one particular family. There's a few families, actually. The son became a big brother. And later on, the father became a board member. And I remember, and I'm quoting the dad, and he said this with tears, one of our golf kickoff parties. He said, the reason I'm here is I saw my son invest in a total stranger, invest his time. And this little boy became a part of our family. He's been to family dinners. I just had a big reach out to him. He was a partner in a law firm down here. And he said, my little brother's now in dental school. We flew him into Chicago. We went to a Cubs game together. Shout out to all the Cubs fans. And he said,
there's definitely a few.
But what he said after that, and Paul's a big brother's name and Jermaine's a little brother. He said, he's keeping up. He's the only one that can keep up with our grandkids. So here we are, a big brother, Paul Berkowitz, Jewish man, a little brother, black male who's in dental school, keeping up with the grandkids, family. Yeah. So when we talk about what we value, which is just investing in someone else's life, at Big Brothers Big Sisters, it is through that lens of family. And that's the opportunity we have, because if you think about this transfer of wealth that's about to take place, that is taking place now more than ever, getting folks and getting their families involved as bigs. We can work with them episodically. That's really a game changer for us. And that leads to long-term sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how can we, help you guys and us as advisors, our clients? How can we get more people involved? You talk about this generational transfer of wealth, right? So it's the younger adults. How do we make them aware and get them more involved?
I think, first of all, we got to meet them where they are, Carlos. And as I think about that, it's, the boomers would always invest in the symphony and places because it was part of just the social platform and the social expectation. These millennials and these Gen Zs are like, well, I need to be a part of something. I need to feel aligned with something. So therein, to your question, the opportunity is they got to see it. Mm-hmm. They got to feel a part of it. And so they may not invest just because grandpa invested in it. I want them to be a part of it. So we got a beautiful 46,000 square foot facility. You all have been there. And I want to have a series of open houses, bringing families over with kids being there so they can see what we do. See the Teen Tech Center that's going to open up in the fall. See the art studio in there. See the kids doing homework after school. It's year round and it's free for kids and families. So when people can see that, they can then find their lane on where they want to get involved. But it's got to be personal first, not just because mom and dad said so, but because here's something that speaks to your heart.
And so many of these millennials and Gen Zs, they're also social media, right? Whether it's TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
We're getting smart on that. We're actually, we've been much more involved in those channels, but I imagine you have to communicate to them through those channels as well.
Absolutely. Even something simple as, okay, you're going to get together and you're going to do some videos with giving up their time. Mm-hmm. And so when they get attached to the mission, then we got them. When I say we got them, I mean, they're a part of it. They're aligned with it. And then the philanthropy, not just investment of time, can lead to investment of the sharing some of the wealth and help our kids. Because when you think about the cost of incarceration, think about my origin story in nonprofit in Miami, working for a juvenile justice program, the origin of Big Brothers Big Sisters. Court clerk, Irvin Westheimer, the visionary founder, right? And so as I think about that full circle moment for me, and when I was asked, and I will say this humbly, at the national level at one of our conferences in 2021, I received the Irvin Westheimer Visionary Leader Award. Mm-hmm. So my journey personally and professionally, and then thinking about the philanthropy transfer, the wealth transfer, it's totally free for our kids and families. And so we don't exist without philanthropy, to be clear. And so when families can involve their time, invest their time, I think they will see the benefits, the tangible benefits of mentorship as well.
Yeah. You talked about meeting the younger generation where they are. And I think that's exactly right. I do wonder though, it seems to me like the older generation had, I hesitate to call it a sense of obligation, but maybe it was a little bit of a sense of obligation to their community.
Yes.
And, I could be, reading this wrong, but I feel like the younger generation is maybe a little detached from their community in a way that the older generation was not.
That's exactly the word I was going to use, David.
Yeah, do you think that that's a product of social media and all these other things, or what is your read on that? Why is it different?
I don't know if it's a product of social media, but I will say social media has not helped that. Because you think about what we do, when we sit down at a table, we're engaging in conversation. And then as I think about not only my children and the kids we work with, and I've been working in youth development for 30 years, when you can have a room full of people and everybody has their head down on a phone. I am not knocking social media. So it has not helped those interpersonal relationships. That's why we have to be very intentional, getting families and their kids and grandkids involved and allowing them to spend that time. Because they appreciate, this generation, the Gen Zs and Millennials, appreciate the tangible benefits. They want to feel a part of something. So we have to really get them in the space where they can be themselves, enjoy themselves, but then hopefully fall in love with a mission that speaks to their heart. So it is a challenge. Social media has its incredible benefits, but I guess you can call me, I'm somewhat old school, not against social media, but it's a matter of let's leverage that, but let's do some good old fashioned FaceTime together too.
I've actually been very impressed with how much you've embraced that.
Yeah, I do. I'm on there a little bit.
Yeah, so I think more so than most.
And so it's interesting. People would tell me, you're all over the place. And so I was, his secret sauce here. I may schedule a post and that post is going out. So people think I'm up in North Miami, but I'm here at Element Pointe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has its advantages.
Sure. You figured it out. So speaking of Miami, we obviously live in a city that has seen just profound changes in the last, I'd say the last few decades, but, particularly since COVID, we've had so many people move to Miami from New York, from elsewhere in the Northeast, even from as far as California. The culture of philanthropy in a lot of these places, I think, is different than what historically we've seen in Miami in a good way.
Right.
And many that have come down have, jumped in, head first in supporting various organizations and really getting involved within the community. How have you seen these changes and this influx of people since COVID impact not only Big Brothers Big Sisters, but just the philanthropic community in Miami overall?
Miami is one of the hottest places. I'm not talking weather and temperature. It's caliente down here. It's a place to be. And therein lies opportunity. There's some inherent challenges with that as well. And what I mean by challenge is not only are there new people, new residents in Miami, there's a lot of new nonprofits as well. And so all doing great work, all with the best of intentions. But we have to be very intentional. I think donors should be intentional in terms of where they invest their time and their money. And as we think about the Gen Z and the millennials, if you will, they may not be concerned about their name on a building. They want to make sure that little girl, that little boy understands that I'm here to be your friend, right? So the people that are coming to town, what I've seen is there's some names on buildings. That's great. And like you said, David, the culture, the philanthropic culture from the Northeast may be a little different. Miami is a very transient place.
Yeah.
So I think the opportunity for us at Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami is to make sure that we build those relationships, get to know these people. That's what we're in the process of doing. Let's get to know them. Board seats, that's one way to get involved. Attending events, but just leveraging their mission, what they hold dear, their family values, and getting them involved, and their kids. One particular donor, to your point, got his kids involved. And now those kids are off in college, and the family started a foundation, and they're still supporting us. So the sooner we get to know them and they get to know us, I think that we can do a lot of good together. So it's a great opportunity for our city.
Gale, we were having a conversation the other day, and we were talking about the importance of consistency. So one of the things that came up was I was mentioning how a lot of families that I know, and I would probably put my own in this as well, they want to encourage philanthropy and volunteering, community involvement amongst their children, whether, middle school age, high school age, college, and so on. It's really difficult to do that, or it feels on the surface like it's difficult to do that with consistency. Thanksgiving rolls around, then you do some volunteer event, or, the holiday season rolls around and you volunteer in some way, shape, or form. But it's not the same as consistently giving of your time.
That's right.
And I don't mean that in terms of the value of the contribution. Obviously, it's meaningful nonetheless. But I think in terms of the way that it just shapes the habits and values of the individual. So I'm curious, your thoughts on how, and I think a lot of people listening would have this question, what are some good ways to get their middle school, high school, college, and beyond children involved in a way that's really meaningful and consistent?
I love the question, David, and it really speaks to transactional versus transformational. Every nonprofit has to make sure that the relationships aren't just transactional. It's not just like, okay, it's the holidays, we need to go and pass out something. There's nothing wrong with that. To your point, that's very effective and heartfelt, but it shouldn't be something that's a burden, if you will, but consistency, keyword. And that's the power of mentorship. I'm currently working with a group of families who want their kids to mentor someone else. But what the beautiful part about it's not because mama or daddy said so. I talk to the kids and say, where'd you go to school? What'd you like to do? What was your favorite subject? What are some of your hobbies? And here's a little girl that has the same thing, or who's interested in that. Could you help her out? Absolutely. Could you help her out 1 hour a week? Absolutely. Now you're a site-based, a school-based big sister. And now there's consistency. And then all of a sudden it's like, Mom, Dad, it's the holidays. I need to get my little sister something. So now it's not just I'm handing something over. She's a part of our family. And that's transformational. Because mentorship allows for consistency, a relationship that's not based on the kids that we serve at Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So in some cases, they're born in situations they had nothing to do with. But here we are. That's why we believe that all youth can achieve their full potential. So I think that consistency, David and Carlos, when we can just position, and there's episodic opportunities that you can do consistently, without taking on the role of, I don't want to have my own little, we'll come by the building and we can do some programming consistently in technology and financial management. So there's opportunities that we hopefully can seize more and more working with families and their kids.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the School to Work program earlier. We're really excited to be participating. Tell us a little more about that. I mean, we've obviously learned quite a bit about it in the last couple of months, but would love to hear it in your words.
When I started with Big Brothers Big Sisters in 2006, one of the things that was abundantly clear, everybody told me, my team told me, I was vice president of programs at that time, and they told me that, wow, we got a lot of high school kids. And when people come to us, they want a little brother, little sister. It's typically a younger child, elementary and or middle.
Right.
And they said, but these kids still need our help. And so I said, okay, well, if we get companies involved and they never have to leave the job, the workplace, and kids are going to school, and we do this during the school day, one of my babies was School to Work, workplace mentoring once a month, a cohort of at least 10 to 15 kids going to school. So the kids go to school, the employees go to work. So you can't work from home to be in school to work. I'm just saying, David. And so once a month, and it's been a game changer. That little brother Stefano was talking about, School to Work.
School to Work program.
And people say, well, what kind of impact would that have? I only see him. I'm not going out for ice cream and all of that. You would be amazed. The kids have shared things like this with me and my team. The building was so beautiful. It's the little things.
Mm.
We had a little brother. We were at a 7th floor conference room at a local company, and their conference room was on the 7th floor, and they had all leather chairs. They had additional seating on the perimeter. He sat on the perimeter, and we said, wait, why aren't you sitting? He said, the chairs are too nice. It's a leather chair, but he didn't feel he was worthy to sit in the leather chair.
Mm.
And so where did we put him? Head of the table. Well, so the tangible benefits, the social emotional wellness, for our kids to know that, little sister, you belong at head of the table. You can run this company. And so School to Work, and thank you, David, thank you, Carlos, for being a part of our School to Work family. I mean, it is social responsibility. It is corporate citizenship at its finest. Because
very, very excited to kick off that program in the next month.
We're excited to have you all a part of it.
Great.
And now watch this. And it's not only do we thank you all, but you're going to be thanking us because you need interns and all of that. Look no further than the kids you've mentored. You've invested that time. And many companies, I mean, there's some large companies in town that have now hired the littles that they mentor. It's an investment. So you're welcome.
That's great.
That's great.
What are your goals when you think about the organization and you look 10 years ahead here in the city of Miami?
We went from the 4th largest school district to the 3rd largest school district in the United States, Miami-Dade County Public Schools. There's so much need in our city. There's a lot of new people, a lot of wealth, a lot of transfer of wealth. But one of the things that during the pandemic, we did a survey of our littles, just what do you need? And it was just a basic stuff. And as I think about 10 years from now, serving more kids, engaging more friends. I mean, you all are friends. You all give of your time. You know, you're starting a school to work program here and just love what Element Pointe is doing. But you're doing that from the heart. And it's not transactional. And we need more and more of that for people to see. Yeah, we're a legacy organization, but we never want to look our age. 70 years in 2028. But I want us to be nimble. I want us to make sure as an organization, we're bringing in the right board members that aren't just looking to sit around a conference room, but it's like, what can I do? So more kids, to your question, David. In addition to that, more friends, which allows us to do more for the kids and the families. And we're viewed very highly nationally. And I say that humbly. And I want to just be more and more significant in this beautiful city we call home.
What do you see as the biggest challenges to accomplishing that?
It's sustainability. There's no memberships at Big Brothers, Big Sisters. There's no penny tax that fuels us. It is literally the love of man. It is philanthropy. It is family that allows me to keep the lights on and pay my staff because the volunteers give of their time, the bigs, and through signature events, whether it's golf event and Jazz at Joe's and guys and girls night out in our gala, those events, individual giving, public-private grants. That's how we exist. And people see the capital B. They see Big Brother here, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Oh, that's a national organization. You all don't need any money. Our very existence is on philanthropy and legacy and family values.
It's interesting. You're right. There can often be a misperception, right, of a larger sort of national organization or organization that exists throughout the country, not having the same needs. But
exactly.
It's not always the case. And then I think
good brand recognition to your point on that, David.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, we got local need and our local challenges. We got to take care of Miami.
Yeah. Well, on the subject of legacy, one of the things that's really resonated with me about Big Brothers, Big Sisters is that you see the littles paying it forward.
Yes.
Right. It's a really interesting dynamic where, we talk about this legacy and sort of sharing values within a family. What you see within the Big Brothers, Big Sisters organization is that these children who were mentored, when they grow up, they become mentors and they take on a little brother or a little sister, and then they pay forward, what was done for them. And I think that it's so inspiring, but also I think it encapsulates what a lot of families are trying to accomplish in sort of fostering this culture or value system within the family where their children, adult children, et cetera, are paying forward to their communities, to their children, to others, what they've received or benefited from.
Everybody can relate to friendship.
Yeah.
If we all sat here today and said, okay, who was that? I think about outside of family, somebody who got involved in your life and helped you make it to the next level. James E. Ray, again, like I said, my late principal, and then seeing his son years later. So absolutely. And I think about little brother Stefan, who not only did he was exposed to a big brother who was an accountant. He then got his associate's degree, Miami-Dade, in accounting, went to Tuskegee degree in accounting, master's FIU in accounting. He turns around and he mentors not one, but two little brothers and exposes them to the field of the world of finance. So no question, because we can all relate to it. It's tangible. The tangible benefits are very clear, and we can keep paying it forward.
I don't want to steal your thunder on the rapid fire questions that you have.
Rapid fire. Take it easy, Carla. Rapid fire.
What's your favorite spot in Miami to recharge?
Any golf course.
Any golf course.
Any golf course. I mean, that's my happy
Probably don't
place.
want to play with David.
No, I think I was the worst performer in the
in the golf tournament.
Six Sisters.
We
That was the greatest day in Miami that we had.
It was. I think I came in the last place. But
one word that your colleagues at Big Brothers Big Sisters would use to describe you:
Coach.
Yeah. We actually,
wow.
You guys share something in common.
Oh, really? There you go.
That's my nickname here at the office, is Coach. Yeah.
Well, David, you had me at hello. I mean, so that's pretty cool.
Well,
that doesn't surprise me. My coach story, I know we're in rapid fire round. I sat there, took my kids to for like Pee Wee basketball and all of that. Well, I actually started with Pee Wee football. Next thing you know, I got a clipboard and a whistle. So, and then next thing you know, 20 years later, and it was just 2 weeks ago, I had some of the kids I coach are grown men now saying, Coach, you changed my life. So it was literal coaching various sports, football and basketball, and you just build, again, healthy relationships. So good job, Coach.
Likewise.
What's the best advice you can give to mentors?
As I think about it, to whom much is given, much is required. When I say required, I mean, obviously, when I think about, just from a spiritual standpoint, it is truly a blessing to give. It is truly not just to feel good, but you see the impact. I mentioned little brother Jay, as we call him, who's now wearing the white coat. He's in dental school, almost done. I have his own practice. But that same little boy told me it was because I had such pain, and I wanted to be a dentist. When I asked him on the podcast, he said, I had such pain in my mouth. I had a toothache, and a guy helped my mom for free. And I want to have that same magical effect on someone else. So the best advice I can give to a mentor is you're going to have that moment of magic by just being yourself and giving of your time and resources as necessary.
Gale, if you weren't doing this, and I can't imagine you not doing this, what other career would you be doing?
Man, when this becomes work, what I'm doing every day becomes work, I got to do something else. But I still don't view it as getting up, going to work because I love it so much. But I would have to say it's got to have a microphone involved. And maybe David Sevier involved. And, if we just got to do the Quiet Storm.
Do the Quiet Storm radio show.
We just do the radio show. I mean, so it would include David Sevier, and we'd have and two microphones.
And two microphones.
Your voice is a little smoother than mine, but I think you could pull it off.
We could pull it off.
Well, Gale Nelson, CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami, thank you for being here with us today. We really appreciate you, your partnership, everything that you do in the community, and so happy to have you on.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, or professional advice. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organization or company. The host and guests may maintain positions in any securities discussed on the podcast. Always consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional before making any investment decisions.